Hello, I'm back with another backyard screen review. So, one thing I've learned with these screens is that you need to be pretty careful when unboxing with a knife, because sometimes the product itself is located pretty close to the surface, so you certainly don't want to damage the material inside with a knife. Here are the accessories that come with the kit. Again, to review, we've got some metal stakes, ropes for securing the screen down, got a repair patch with glue, screen, and inflation pump. Alright, I removed the screen from the white carrying bag and removed the tie-down straps. Let's give this thing a roll. Alright, first thing I noticed, this thing's pretty heavy duty. Looks like it's got some inflation instructions built right in the screen itself. It's handy. Alright, so this screen is a little bit different from continuous blower screen in the fact that it's just a one-time inflation. And it looks like the best way to attach the screen is to inflate it, flip it over, and attach the screen material, which is really handy because otherwise on the continuous feed blower type screens it's a little bit of a guessing game of attaching the screen, inflating it, and seeing if you got it right. As you can see, I attached the inflation pump to the screen. And right off the bat, I'm pretty impressed with how heavy duty this appears to be. The PVC material is not cheap feeling at all. And I also like the metal rings here, which are nice that they're not just plastic. I understand the screen takes about 3 minutes to inflate, and we'll give it a shot and see how it goes. Alright. So I'll inflate this and start shooting after it's inflated. Alright, as you can see, I have the screen inflated. I felt like it took about, 7 to 8 minutes to inflate. And right off the get-go, I can tell you that the material is really heavy duty. In the inflation process, I didn't see any quick release air vents for deflation, so I'm assuming everything just deflates through the inlet valve, perhaps. I'll look into it deeper and see if I can actually find it. But otherwise, I'm pretty impressed. All the seams have a taped covering over them. It's very heavy duty. Got some instructions right on the screen itself. We got 4 eyelets at two eyelets each corner, 1 on each side, so we've got 6 total. And the next step is to get the screen on. And when looking at the instructions on Amazon, it looks like the best way to do this is to flip it over, inflate it, and to go ahead and attach the screen. So I'll attach the screen next and go from there. Okay, as far as deflation goes, just like your typical pump for inflatable air mattress, it's simply just detach the hose from this end and put it on this end, attach it back to the port on the screen, and it will suck all the air out. That will certainly make deflation a lot easier. I started to adhere the screen material to the inflatable frame. As you can see, it attaches with Velcro. I flipped the screen over as I saw in the video on Amazon, and this certainly looks like it's going to be a lot easier to put the screen on opposed to the other continuous blower fed screens. As you can see, I started to deflate the screen a little bit more to get the screen material on. It was a little difficult, the screen fully inflated, so I'm hoping by getting the screen material on partially deflated, when it inflates it'll pull it tighter. As you can see, I had the screen now adhered to the frame. I definitely found it easier to do it when it was deflated like this. The screen goes on fairly easily. It is a bit time consuming. I'm hoping that once the material inflates, it'll pull a lot of the wrinkles out of the PVC screen. It's only 60 degrees in Michigan right now, but I imagine if you left this out in hotter temperatures, it would certainly even out the wrinkles in the screen. The screen material I estimate to be about a 1.0 gain, so any light that hits it is reflected back at the same intensity that the screen absorbs it at or reflects it at. Alright, I have the screen fully attached to the frame, inflated, and can you hear that? It is the sound of silence. No continuous blower. I'm pretty impressed with how heavy duty the PVC frame is. Now the kit, like I mentioned, comes with 4 stakes, so that's just enough for the outboard riggings. But there are eyelets at all 4 corners, which may not be a bad idea to secure down or to pick up additional stakes. You know, the screen itself pulls pretty tight. It does take just maybe a little more finagling to get the screen perfectly attached to the Velcro aspects of the inflatable screen so it's completely wrinkle free. But so far so good. I bet if you left this out on a hot day, the wrinkles would come right out. Unlike the continuous blower type screens, you know, this material is really heavy duty, and when rolled up will be a bit bigger. So in this particular case, I'll probably take the screen off when storing. But a great thing about this screen is that it can be left out for days on end. It's weather resistant. The screen can actually float on a pool, which would be interesting to see. I feel that the best application though is just the all-weather aspect of it. I hear there is a much larger version in the works, and that would be pretty interesting as far as just the sheer size of it. This right now looks pretty good size. Like I mentioned, it is a 16:10 aspect ratio, so your typical 16:9 projectors, you know, it won't fill the entire screen unless you have a projector that does 16:10. And 16:10 is your typical aspect ratio for computers. So most movies are shot in like a 16:9 aspect ratio, which is like 1.78 to 1. There are 1.85 to 1 movies, and most movies such as blockbusters like Star Wars is shot in 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio. Again, I think for what this is, it's a great product. Looking forward to testing it out over the weekend. I have tested the screen material out on my 24-foot inflatable, so I do know that it has good reflectivity. It can be projected from the front and the rear. I did time the total inflation, and it was 7 minutes because I did deflate it to put the screen material on. Again, with a little more adjusting, I could get the screen material adhered without wrinkles. But for the sake of this video and this review, I just wanted to get it up quickly to show the inflated product. Like I mentioned before, by hooking the pump up in reverse, it will fully deflate the screen, which is really nice. So it doesn't need a fast release zipper valve like the continuous blower type screen. Again, I love the stakes that came with the kit. metal, heavy duty. I wish there were 4 more though for each corner, but again, tent stakes are easy to come by. I hope you like this review. The link to the Amazon website will be in the description. I'll have more screen reviews coming out in the future, so please subscribe and give a like if you like what you see. I've been doing home theater for the past 23 years, and since COVID hit, we've been doing a bunch of backyard movies with the friends and family. So this has been a big hit, and I look forward to testing the screen out. And you know, it's gonna be nice putting it up and leaving it up for days on end. So I've had the inflatable airtight screen inflated since Thursday, and today is Sunday, and there has not been any air loss whatsoever. I want to take an opportunity to talk a little bit more about the air valve and the deflation process. Right here is the air valve. And it holds pressure until this button is depressed. Right here is the pump for the screen, and in order to start deflation, you can just simply do it one of 2 ways. Plug this connector into the valve, and it'll passively start removing the air. However, you can use the pump assist to pull all the air out. In order to use the pump assist, simply remove this end here, flip the pump around, place it in the back, and start the pump. And it'll pump all the air out, making folding the screen up for storage a simple process. At this point, we're about halfway through the deflation process. The pump is removing all the air. This pump is a 500 watt blower. And in no time it'll have all the air removed, and it'll make folding pretty simple. For storage, we will be removing the PVC screen cloth material. I'm actually going to try to roll the material up to try to reduce any storage wrinkles, as the PVC screen cloth is prone to wrinkling if folded for too long. Using the air pump in reverse, it has pulled all the air out of the inflatable structure, and the one-way valve holds in the vacuum. So this way, rolling the screen up, placing it in the included carrying bag will be much easier. Like I mentioned, I will be removing the PVC screen cloth material. My goal is to roll it to minimize wrinkles. And if you do roll the screen up, the inflatable structure with the screen cloth material attached, no matter how well you roll it, you won't be able to get it into the bag that's supplied. So you do have to remove the PVC screen. Otherwise, you could use an alternate form of storage, like a large Rubbermaid tote or a trash can I've seen other people use for storage. As I mentioned, I have now rolled up the PVC screen cloth material. I'll find a place to store this over the winter months in my garage. Hopefully by rolling it, it will minimize any creases for the spring. It is mid-November in Michigan, so we have a warm spell going on here, but within a week or less, it's going to be in the 30s, and backyard movies will have to probably go on hold until spring months. Here is the deflated frame structure of the screen. I'll fold it over 3 times and begin to roll it like a sleeping bag. I've folded the inflatable structure 3 times over to line up like this, and then I'll begin to roll it from this point like a sleeping bag. The goal is, once it's been rolled, to fit in this storage bag right here. The storage bag is actually pretty good size, but like I mentioned before, if you do roll the screen inflatable structure with the PVC screen cloth, it'll be too large to roll into the bag. Another tip would be to leave the inflatable structure out in the sun. The sun will significantly soften up the PVC inflatable structure, making rolling much easier. I was able to get the inflatable screen structure rolled up successfully. I think leaving it out in the sun really helped to soften up the PVC material, making the rolling process much easier. I was able to even use the original straps they used from the factory to tie it up. I have no doubt it's going to slide into the carrying bag without a problem for storage. I was able to drop the inflatable screen structure inside the carrying bag without a problem at all. In fact, I even have some room to spare. So the carrying bag does have these blue loops, which I plan to feed some string through to tie the bag shut. And it'll be ready for winter storage. Like I mentioned, the screen is all packed up and ready for storage. I did end up using just a small piece of string. I would probably recommend a little heavy duty rope to secure the top shut. My closing thoughts on the OZIS watertight, inflatable, weather resistant screen has been really positive. It is really heavy duty. It definitely stood up to pretty substantial wind. I would say even over a light breeze without a problem at all. I had this screen inflated for 3 days. It did not lose any air whatsoever. It's also important to note not to overfill the screen, because as the daylight hours grow throughout the day and the sun is up, the inflatable screen structure does get pretty warm, and the internal air pressure temperatures will go up. You need to be careful not to overfill, otherwise it could cause a failure of the screen. Overall, I again endorse this product. It's heavy duty, it feels like it's going to last a while, and would make a great addition to anyone's backyard theater. You can float it on a pool. There's just lots of applications for the screen. I liked how there was no noise from a blower. Again, great product.